shortly. Next topic, FAU, Florida Atlantic University, is currently looking for a coach for the coach's position that was actually Tom Herman was the coach there, and he was actually let go. And they need a coach, and I think Ray Lewis's name has surfaced. Ray Lewis, one of the greatest linebackers to ever play the game, period. When he was at Lakeland High School, Kathleen in Lakeland, when he was at the University of Miami, Baltimore Ravens, the man is just, he's in a class all by himself along with Dick Butkus and all those linebackers. Do you think Ray Lewis should take that trek and that shot at doing something like coaching a team like Florida Atlantic? And here's what I have about that. Florida Atlantic has not been able to turn the corner in terms of that program. They had Willie Taggart there coaching that program. They fired Willie Taggart. They had Lane Kiffin there, and Lane Kiffin had a pretty successful tenure at Florida Atlantic. Just so happened he got offered the job at Mississippi, and he chose to leave to go to Mississippi, which I don't blame him for, because he's at a much bigger and much more talented program in terms of recruiting than Florida Atlantic. And they brought in Tom Herman, who was the coach at Texas right after Charlie Strong was fired, and Tom Herman just got fired.
Yeah.
Can Ray Lewis turn this program around, you think?
I'm not sure. And let me tell you what, the reason why I say that, people think just because you was a hell of a ball player and an athlete that you can just transition to being a coach. It don't work like that. It really don't. It do not work like that. And, people just looking at things on the surface. Well, I was always brought up with this term. Something just don't happen. It just don't appear. You got to put the work in. If Ray Lewis has never coached before, he's not going to be successful. I don't care. I've watched him play his whole college career and professional career. Just because he was a madman on that field, it doesn't transition to be a good coach. Now, if he was a guy who did what Deion did, and I'm getting back to Deion been coaching step by step by step by step. He started part one of Little League. He went to junior high. He went to high school. And then he went to, HBCU. And then he went to Division I. Now they're trying to lure him in to professional. Know why? Because he put the work in. Because you got to think about something. Deion actually been coaching ever since he got out of professional football. And so now if you look at how long he's been retired, that means he's got years and years of experience. So you're going to take Ray Lewis from playing with the Ravens and had all of this off time in retirement. And if he wasn't coaching anybody, he's not going to be able to transition to make that where you can manage a team. He played one position. He played linebacker. Okay, when you're going to be a head coach, you're the president of this organization, so to speak. You have to manage special teams, the offensive line, the receivers, the running back, every facet of this team. You're the overseer of that. And if you can't manage that, you're going to be a failure. And not only just the players, you're going to have a full-fledged staff that believes in you, buy into your program, and buy into your theory. And if they don't do that, they just say, damn, Ray Lewis was knocked the hell out of people when he was playing football. Then even that going to start going away. They're going to look at it now. You're not playing football. You're coaching. You think they're going to respect him as a coach? No, if he don't know what he's doing. So if he want to take that opportunity to get into coaching, that you go jump right at the head of the line like he's skipping everything. I want to see it. I really want to see it. I want to see how it'll pan out. Maybe he might come to grips because, damn, I love coaches, but not the head coach. The head coach is an enormous responsibility. Everybody can't do it. You got people who can be a lineman coach or DB coach or offensive coordinator, but they just can't manage a team. And that's what he's going to do. Take them in there and just throw them in the tool. He's going to manage a team. So that means recruiting. He's got to do that. He's got to go in there and get him a staff together. He's got to do that. I mean, it's going to be a lot of work, and I want to see him do it. I would be delighted to see him take over a program and be successful. I don't think he's going to be able to do it because I never seen him coach or don't know if he ever coached before. Good luck to him. Good luck.
The most I've seen with him at football games was at his son's football games. And, him and his wife would be at the game cheering his son and the rest of the team on that his
Not
son
coaching.
played high school football. But that is completely different from coaching. I agree with you. And
Yes.
I think it would be a mistake for Ray to actually take that step into that realm, especially with a school like FAU. I would prefer to see Ray at a HBCU to start, just kind of like Prime
Yes.
did. I mean, an HBCU
Sure.
program, build that up.
Yes.
And if he wants to build on it at resume, he could take that, resume, and then he could parlay that into something else. Listen, the man is living a charmed life right now. I mean, I can't see any reason why he would want to take on that responsibility because, first of all, you're never going to be home. I mean, with your family. You used to being home with your family. That's something that you really have to consider seriously. Secondly, you're not going to get any credit for anything until you really consistently start winning. So the first few years, if it's bad, you're gonna get the business. I mean, the media is gonna throw everything at you, right? And the sad part about it is that they don't give the type of time to, say, a Ray Lewis or even a Prime that they need to be successful at any of these programs. Either you go in and you have to start winning immediately and keep it going, like we talked about Charlie Strong at Texas, because we had these conversations. And I told you, I say, look, Strong he's got a current in Texas that it's working against him. And they don't really care for him to be there. And you say, look, winning will heal all of that. I remember you told me that. Well, unfortunately for Charlie Strong, it didn't happen. And he was let go. And I remember a time when there was a coach by the name of Tyrone Willingham for Notre Dame. And Tyrone Willingham went nearly undefeated his first year at Notre Dame. I mean, he coached at Stanford and, and then he ended up getting a job over at Notre Dame, and he did a phenomenal job at Notre Dame. And guess what? That wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. So if you think about it, Ray, if you're looking at this video, I would think about it strongly, but I would probably think otherwise with this particular one.
Look what Eddie George, when he wanted to take his name and throw it in the hat for a coaching job, he went to a HBCU and started out. Eddie George.
He's successful. He's successful at Tennessee State.
Yes.
Eddie George is extremely successful at Tennessee State University, and they did a college game day on campus, and he's running a really good program over there, man. He's running a really good program. And Eddie George was a super talented football player as well. He came out of Philadelphia, and I was in the Pro Bowl one year, and I believe it was that year that Baltimore ended up winning the Super Bowl. I want to say it was either 2000, but long story short, Eddie George walked out of a sports bar, and I had to do a double take to see a running back that tall and that big. It was just imposing to me. Because I always picture running backs anywhere from 5'8" to 5'10" or 5'11" to 6'1".
Yeah.
But when you got a 6'4", 6'5" running back at 225 to 230 pounds like Eddie George was, man, that's a hard act to swallow to try to tackle someone like that, So I'm really, really impressed with his ability to be able to keep Tennessee State on point, respectable at a HBCU, and that will be something that Ray Lewis might want to look into as well. Last but not least for this topic, high school recruiting versus the transfer portal. So let me throw this scenario at you. If you were building a team similar to what Prime did at Colorado his first year, because he literally built this team off the transfer portal, would you go heavily into the recruiting process, or would you go heavily into the transfer portal? Because the separation between the two is you're dealing with high school players coming out of high school And they have a process called redshirt, which they can redshirt and they gain an extra year eligibility. In the transfer portal, you're going to get a player, possibly they could come in and play immediately. And that's kind of what Prime was saying, that to his advantage, he could get these players out of the portal and bring them in, and they just play immediately. He don't want to be sitting nobody out waiting for a year for them to play. How would you build your team like that?
There's pros and cons to that. It really is, because if you think about most of his own key players are ones that came out of high school. You know, Hunter came out of high school and both of his kids came out of high school. But he got some key players too, like that interior line on both sides of the ball that was in the portal. That was why you think that the Miami Hurricanes recovered so fast. The majority of their players came from that portal also. But what I'm saying to you is, every now and then, if you want to just not ignore high school players, I think that will be a failure too, because you're going to get some people that can come right in and play. You got some stud coming out of high school that you can just plug right into your system. Because one thing I see about really talented players, once they're out of school, especially if they're local, you can go in and start practicing with that team before the school is out in most instances. And then you got the summer months to learn all the plays. By the time football season roll around, it's almost like as if you got a year under your belt playing. You know what I mean? So
Right.
right after the season is over, you transition right into the school. And you start learning the playbook. You're learning this stuff. You're working out with these guys. You're bulking up. And then when the summertime comes, you put on extra 10, 15 pounds of muscle from working in that program. Man, you're ready. You're ready. So I don't want to at least just say, okay, since that portal is available to me, I'm just going to totally ignore these kids coming out of high school. That'd be the wrong thing to do. You got a beautiful bunch of kids come out every year. One thing I can go refer back to University of Miami, they had the best recruiting class in the country last year. So they're going to be strong for many years, man. And that's why I was super happy to see even Cristobal get an extension on his contract, because now he's going to have all of his own players in there next year. He's been there, it'll be the 4th year. So everybody in there will be somebody that he had something to do with bringing them in that school. So I'm going to tell you right now, you just got to balance the both, period. Balance the both. That's the way I see it.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say you need to have a really good balance to be able to bring in high school players along with the portal, because you still have non-believers of the portal, with Dabo Sweeney at Clemson being one of them, unless he's changed his mind, which I haven't heard anything, but he was not a big fan of the portal. And look at Clemson's record, and look at how Clemson talent level have somewhat demised over the years, you know? Because these players are going, especially these transfer portal players, they're going where the NIL money is. If the NIL money is there, they're going, because they feel like that they can earn based on NIL, based on their talent and their name recognition. You're not going to be able to keep a play. You're not going to be able to recruit like they used to back in the time, where you bring a high school player in and either he deals with it, or if he wants to transfer, he had to go under the old system where he had to sit out a year, which discouraged transfers. That's what it was for, to keep movement at a limit, or movement at all. So if you think about it, that transfer portal is really a gold mine for talent, because you can bring good players in from other programs that they are already established. They can immediately jump in and start playing. And then, as you said earlier, they could take that high school player, and even if he doesn't play immediately, they can develop him and he can watch more seasoned players play. And then that makes him more hungrier to want to get in there and play. So that's just my 2 cents on the whole thing, you know? Yeah. So, man, we've had another good night, Isaiah. And, man, I really cannot say enough how much I appreciate you as a co-host, because we talked about this for years, and we have been just on and off and on and off. And And finally, we did this, and we both feel good about it. I feel good about it. You feel good about it. And I know we're going places as well as you know we're going places. So thank you for being a co-host with me, because we're going to take this thing to the next level, and we're going to do big things with it. And we're going to bring in some really interesting guests. That's what's on the platform next, is we'll be having guests to visit from the football world, even from sports world, period, basketball, but mainly football. And we're going to be interviewing these people, and we'll be doing a lot of big things. So thank you once again. I'll have you close it out, Isaiah, and we will do another show soon.
Yeah, I want to close it out by saying thank you, everybody, for watching, but to participating in the things that my partner and I, we've been together. We've been friends, really close friends since we were like 7, 8 years old, same block we lived on. And to have him do something that I love doing, we always talked about sports and politics, family and school and education and all this type of stuff. We've been talking like this for years and years and years. And finally, we got this thing going, and we loving it. We want to share our views with the public and hope that you guys love what we're bringing to you. It's going to be like this all year round. It's not going to be a let up. We're going to continue to inspire you. I want to inspire youth. I want people to grab a hold of this thing and just rock it with it. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Tell your friends, your neighbors, your cousins, your colleagues at work that we on. So come enjoy it with us.
Absolutely. So we'll close it out. Thank you to viewer. Hit that like button, and we'll do it again soon. Thank you for joining the DC Stewart Show Podcast.
You've reached the end of another episode of the DC Stewart Sports Talk Podcast. Be sure to connect with us at Facebook and Twitter.com. Your voice is important, so head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Catch our next episode.